Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Clifford's Really Big Movie. Now, Clifford's Really Big Movie is a 2004 animated adventure comedy film that was meant to be based on the PBS kid series Clifford the Big Red Dog that aired back in September the 4th, 2000 all the way to February 2003. Now, in America, you had voice cast like Grey DeLisle's voicing Emily Elizabeth. You had basically John Ritter voicing Clifford. Now, in the UK where I lived, we had mostly a British themed cast during the whole CBeebies when it aired. And when I did watch this the first time, I was kind of confused why the voices were different, until learning that it must have been done in America. So, pretty much the premise of Clifford's Really Big Movie is meant to be about Clifford, Cleo, and T-Bone who go to a kind of carnival and end up meeting Larry and his amazing animals. Now, Larry and his kind of act is meant to start off a bit sucky, and you can kind of tell Larry really does try to help his amazing animals go the distance. And I would say, for the most part, Larry does work like a character. Like, you can tell he does try to set himself up for a hard fall, but knows he wants to put his heart in the right place. We see how he aims to kind of win the sort of Tummy Yummy contest, which is run by George Wolfbottom. So, throughout the film, we see how Clifford, T-Bone, and Cleo end up going with Larry and his amazing animals. And I think for the most part, you can tell Clifford does want to do the right things and does want to win the prize for Emily Elizabeth. And I think for the most part, they really show you how Clifford feels like a financial burden, how he feels kind of responsible. Even though, yeah, Mr. Bleakman didn't really intentionally do anything wrong, I think they make it clear that he doesn't really saw through what he was saying. And throughout the film, we do see how Clifford and that help the animals in their kind of acts. And I think when you've got the ferret character, Shackleford, you can tell he's quickly jealous of that Clifford's hogging the spotlight. And I think for the most part, I think his character is a little bit jerky, but at the same time, you can tell he does, near the end, realise his mistakes. I think for the most part, as a final, it doesn't really do anything big, epic, or anything to kind of end it on a proper note. I think for the most part, yeah, having Clifford explore beyond Birdwell Island made proper sense. As you can kind of tell, Clifford and even Cleo and T-Bone know that they aren't really going to be ready to take on the bigger world out there. And I think for the most part, I would say, is that the film does kind of feel a bit rushed at points. Like, it doesn't really take time for us to know much about the newer characters. We really don't kind of see how Clifford tries to help out some of the other animals other than Dorothy, who is meant to be a cow, to overcome her fears. As it would have been interesting to have seen him help the other animals, like having Dirk kind of encourage him to kind of go higher with his stunts. You could have had, yeah, T-Bone kind of encouraging the sort of rogue Geo sort of find his strength. And I think for the most part, I would say, is that given the fact this was unintentionally meant to be a final, and you can kind of tell John Ritter really does try to give his final performance the best he can, and keep in mind this was the last film he did before his death. So I think for the most part, given the fact this was meant to be served as an unintentional final, you can kind of tell they really do try their best, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel interesting. I think for the most part, I would say Clifford's Really Big Movie is a hit and miss. It's not going to go high, but it's not going to go low. So I think it deserves a thumbs in the middle. Kind of alright, but kind of okay. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.